Good evening, lads and lassies. Irish Demon here. This is a replay video. I had to download and re-upload this video. This is my first episode of Saturday Night Tea with my friend Tae and PhD Tony, who came in and joined towards the end. I had to re-upload this. There was one little part where I played something from the National Geographic. They weren't very happy about it, so I didn't even get like a warning or anything. They just nuked the video, so I had to download it and re-upload it without that part in it. It's not a big deal. It's like literally 10 seconds of footage, but no problem. Hit that like button, guys. Subscribe, share with your friends, all that kind of stuff. Saturday Night Tea is going to be a regular Saturday show starting at 9 p.m. Western Australian Standard Time. So if you'd like to appear on it, just hit me up on Discord or irishdemon@gmail.com with your story and what you'd like to have a chat about, and I'd be delighted to have more people on. But anyway, with that, thank you, lads and lassies. Enjoy. All right, lads and lassies. Okay, we're about to get started. It'll just take me a minute to get set up. We are currently live. You're not on the screen just yet. I'm just getting you set up. Alrighty, lads and lassies. I am joined tonight by a very special guest, and I'm just going to bring them in here on the screen. What did I just press? Alright, I did something stupid. Whoops. Give me one sec. I'm doing a bit of a PhD Tony on it here, being unable to tech. Alright. Okay, so for some reason that's not worked very well, but anyway. What in the name of... Okay, I'm not really sure what I did here, but it seems like I didn't do the right thing. All right, let's try again. And you can hear me all right over there, can you? Oh, okay, that's good. Not yet. Alrighty, I think they should be able to hear you now. Lads and lassies, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear us both loud and clear. You should be able to.
Hi, everyone.
Alright, okay, I think we're good to go. Lads and lassies, can you hear me? Alright, say something.
Something.
Yep, all good. We got sound. Right, good evening. Well, it's evening for us. Depends on where you are in the world. I see some Europeans here in the chat. So it is probably early afternoon for all of you folks. And good morning to all our Americans out there. Good to see you all. Right, so today I am joined by Tae, which is the Irish word for tea, of course. And so we have known each other now for how long? A couple of months?
Yeah.
About that long. So I guess we'll tell them about how we met. So basically, we are both aquarium enthusiasts, and you were selling plants? No, you were selling shrimp.
Yes,
shrimp. And I wanted shrimp. So yeah, we were chatting for a while, and then I went back for more shrimp, and then we just kind of got to know each other and started hanging out and chatting a lot. So we figured, hey, I've got a live stream. Let's do a live stream. So here we are. And so now you're thinking about maybe getting into doing a bit of YouTube stuff, right? Whoops.
Yes, you've been talking to me a lot about this and pestering about constant. And also I'm a broke-ass bitch, so...
you got to do something.
Might as well.
You got to play the game.
Yeah. I pay for a premium YouTube account, watch YouTube all the time, so might as well.
You may as well. That's exactly right.
Get a little something in my pocket.
I'm with you there. So yeah, lads and lassies. So hold on. So you don't know just yet what you're going to do you? You're kind of on the fence about what you want to cover, or?
Yeah, kind of on the fence. I got a lot of animal stuff. My house is basically a zoo. But there are a lot of pretty girls out there who are constantly showing animals. So I don't know. I think a lot of my things are probably just going to be random stuff.
So basically, like me, just random shit.
Yeah, just random shit. Now I'm gonna be making some terrariums, hopefully.
That
So
would be
I
awesome.
might make some videos about that.
That would be really
And
good.
I'm also gonna be making a new fish tank. Hopefully setting up a fish room. So
That would
might
be
see some of
so
that.
cool. So yeah, we were talking about setting up terrariums earlier. We got to go get some bits for that. That'd be really cool, actually. So let me ask you this serious question that I know is on the mind of everybody in the chat right now. What shape do you believe the Earth is?
I believe that it is a sphere.
Good, correct. So
Is that correct?
that is pretty correct. It's an oblate spheroid, to be precise. I know when you said a sphere, PhD Tony just started smacking his head because he's a geography teacher.
No, I'm pretty sure PhD Tony is actually my favorite uncle of the
he
picnic.
is pretty. Yeah, you're. So here's the thing, PhD Tony. I was
Hi,
getting
Tony.
messages here in the background from this young lady that was saying that she had the hots for you. But anyway, that's besides the point. Forget that dude. Forget that loser. Um, but no, seriously. So when we started chatting first, I brought up YouTube or whatever. Because you were saying you liked YouTube, and I was saying that I was a YouTuber. And I mentioned that I said I do flat Earth stuff. And I saw your face turn because you thought that I meant what?
I thought that you were a flat earther, that you thought the earth was flat. I was like, who's this guy in my house?
Yeah, who's this crazy fucking dude? So what's your view on like flat earthers? So I take it you've watched a few of my videos or whatever. So what's your view? What's your preliminary viewpoint on flat earthers in general?
I think it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I mean, if you're that kind of silly and going that way, thinking the world is flat, what real impact are you gonna kind of have on
That's a good point.
society, except for people going, haha,
Yeah,
look what this
the
guy said,
majority the majority of people I think just laugh at flat earthers. I guess for me, a lot of people ask, oh, why do you pick on flat earthers so much if they're so irrelevant? So there's a couple of them that are extremely hateful. So somebody just mentioned, Little Wolf just mentioned Daniel Pratt. That's the guy that looks like PhD Tony. So like people like him and Nathan Thompson and a few others are extremely hateful, and they do spread a lot of hateful rhetoric. So one of the things that seems to go hand in hand with flat eartherism is anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, and to a massive extent transphobia. They seem to have a massive issue with trans people. They seem to have a huge issue with gay people. And so a lot of it is fighting against that kind of stuff as well by pointing out how stupid they are with other things. It's a bit of a false equivalence, but they do have a lot of hateful rhetoric, that's for sure. So anyway, so what we're talking about tonight, lads and lassies, we're going to be talking about just mental health stuff, the state of affairs of mental health in Australia, because we both live in Australia, and how we feel maybe things could change, and what options we may have in the future, and what's blocking us and all that kind of stuff. So I'll kick it over to you to start off. What's your view overall on the state of affairs of mental health support, more so in Australia, in Western Australia?
Well, in Western Australia, and through my experience, it's kind of limited, very hard to get to, and the government puts a lot of things into place to make it hard to get. So really, if to get the right amount of care or medication or going to doctor and stuff, you're going to have a lot of money, you're going to have to be educated, you're going to have someone that actually cares for you and advocates for you. And that's just like three things that are really hard to get.
Absolutely.
I've actually been just completely deleted from a hospital system just on a whim because of like booking troubles. Like the doctors can't, book me in and all that stuff, and they made a mistake, and to cover it up, I was just deleted. Whereas I was actually very high risk at that point, very suicidal. I'd actually been to the emergency department a few times within that month, and but I had to get a private doctor, which luckily I get bulk billed. Government.
Yeah.
for that,
So I guess when we'd been talking the second time, I think that we were chatting, and we were talking about the whole ADHD situation for me, and so I it was very easy for me to get my to be diagnosed with PTSD. Because there was a lot of factors involved, and it was a huge part of my medical history and things like that. When it came to the ADHD side of things, I remember speaking to your mom about it, and I said to your mom, remember, I said, do you think I have ADHD just by chance? She was like, yep. Yep, 100%. And, waiting like 3-4 months to get seen, just to get seen by a psychiatrist, which is going to cost me a couple of grand out of pocket or whatever, it just seems a bit much. Like somebody did say to me that somebody commented on one of my videos before, a comment that I really appreciated was that, I've been living with it my whole life, what's 3 more months, and I think a lot of it was just the frustration of knowing that I have something that I need to get sorted but not being able to do it. Did you find that was kind of similar for you, that you just didn't have that support structure?
I found that I kind of didn't really know what to say, and I didn't want to really rely on others. Like my mental health problems started when I was quite young, and coming from a family that all have physical health problems, that we are having to go to doctors and the hospital like multiple times, that kind of came first, and then the mental things came second. But I found going through a school counselor and just being honest with the caretakers at my school, like lucky for me, they actually started putting things in place and started being on medication and all that.
So it made a big difference ultimately, I think. Because I find it is, I think, to some extent easier to get that help when you're in school, when you're a bit younger and there's more of a structure there. Like for adults, I came across in my corrective services career quite a lot of adults who just said, I just literally have no one to go to. I have nobody that will push me to do what I need to do and to back me up. I think that's a huge problem in Western Australia, especially where like drug addiction is concerned. That seems to be a massive driving factor behind a lot of the mental health issues that I've come across. Obviously, because of working in the court system, the courts and drugs kind of go hand in hand. It's a big issue. But I think a lot of these people, they get this kind of thing where people just go, he's just a meth head. He doesn't need help. He just needs to get off the drugs, that kind of thing. So what do you think ultimately, Tony just made a really, really good point. Something I think we can all agree with. He says mental health is no less serious than physical health. And I agree. And what you said is a really good point.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Like, if you've got two kids sitting next to each other, one has got even if it is a milder mental health issue, and the other one's got a broken arm, which one is going to get the immediate care? Obviously, the one with the broken arm. And I think that's a big problem. Do you reckon, because you've obviously lived here your whole life, I've only been here 5 years or so, do you reckon that there's still a lot of stigma in Western Australia around mental health?
I think there is still a lot of stigma with kind of the older generation. That's not to say that all the older generation are like a lot. I've like met some pretty woke older generation. And I've certainly met a lot of ignorant people that are in my generation. But yeah, especially men talking about, mental health. If a man says he's on antidepressants, people are like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you doing that? Man up. If you know, and if a man goes through a depressive episode, they're just seen as has it like having a
Yeah,
sook,
being weak
um,
or whatever.
you know, whereas
Yeah.
yeah,
I think a
um,
lot of that
but
weakness
yeah, I've
comes
had.
from. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that like you know we've had lots of
Yeah,
open conversations, and I've managed to have lots of open conversations with everyone, and I just come out and say it
yeah,
like,
yeah, and
yeah,
I think sometimes it's the best thing to
yes,
do to break down those kind of barriers and those kind of stigmas. The only way to do it is to speak openly about it. Like I've heard people say, you know, that some people speak way too much about it or they go on about their mental health too much, and I think a lot of that too is that, you know, when people are liberated from that stigma, it's, you know, you feel liberated, you feel like you can now talk about it. So I think it's a big deal to talk about it. Like for example, a very sweet friend of mine the other day, I won't say their name obviously, contacted me because they'd been put on to an antidepressant and was concerned and worried, and you know it was a first time thing for that person. And for me, you know, I've taken them all over the years. Like I've tried them all, and you know they were like, oh, "I'm on this one." I was like, "Yep, I've taken that one too. Didn't work for me, but it works for a lot of people." And I'm happy to report that person told me yesterday that they're feeling much better and feeling a bit more stable and kind of happy. And so being able to reach out to friends, I think, as well is a huge thing, right? Did you find that you had that support structure
yeah.
with your friends?
When I was younger and in high school, definitely not. In high school, your high school friends, like if you're in high school now, your high school friends are not mature enough to
Yeah,
deal with this shit. All right, go talk to a counselor, go make an older friend, talk to an older cousin, your auntie, your uncle, whoever. And you can still talk to your friends, you can try to let them in, but they're
I
not going to be
agree.
mature enough to deal with it.
Especially like the
My
bigger
friends
groups. Like, I
just,
mean, if you've got a super close friend, like besties, then it's probably a little bit easier. But I think when it, you know, when you're younger, especially high school age, when everything is so, you know, you're really concerned about your appearance and how you are perceived by people as well. I think a lot of that is worrying that your friend is going to tell on you and tell people that you're going through this thing is a huge concern. And I think I agree with you there. While it is good to talk about it, I think you need to pick who you talk to about it at that age in particular.
yeah, my friends just disappeared. They didn't know what
Hmm.
to say. They wanted to help, but they didn't know how. Um, and yeah, they kind of just disappeared and uh,
Yeah.
distanced themselves. Um, then again, that was what, four or
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah. And so they
So
kind of mature
who
over
knows?
time. Like I had a really long chat the other day with one of my lecturers. He's my drug and alcohol lecturer in uni, and he was just kind of asking what area do I want to go into in terms of psychology. And so for me, I want to get into clinical and research. And one of the things that I am very interested in is food addiction because I've obviously had that issue for the majority of my life where I would go through periods of losing weight, gaining tons of weight, and each time it gets worse and worse. And one of the main things for me is about you know, getting young kids, to learn more about the mental effects of overeating and the connection between you know, mental health issues and overeating and the effects that that can have in the long term. Because I don't know how it is nowadays, because you're closer to high school age than I am, not by much, but you're closer to high school than I am. Do kids learn? So kids obviously learn a lot about nutrition and stuff in school now. Probably not as much as they should, but they learn a fair bit. Did you ever learn in school about the effects of eating disorders and mental health and how mental health affects your eating and vice versa? Or was it just nutrition?
Um, I think we didn't really have anything, to be honest. I went to a public school, and then I went to an independent public school. Um, at the independent public school, it was actually an agricultural college, so I definitely learned way more about food
Yeah.
because I
Yeah,
made
of
it.
course. Yeah.
You know, we made the food that we ate. You know, but in normal school, no. And definitely myself and a lot of friends were very self-conscious about our weight. and thought that just not eating
Was the way to go.
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Like I know from the Irish school system, there is a massive importance placed on health in general and mental health. We did do a lot of mental well-being classes and things like that. But one thing I still feel is lacking is teaching. So here's the thing. They do teach you about the more common eating disorders like bulimia, anorexia, etc. And a lot of it is aimed at girls. And I can understand why that's the case. But one thing that they always left out seemed to be the mental health effects that lead to overeating and overeating disorders, and the effects of those habits on your mental health in the long term. And that is definitely something that's a mold that I would truly love to break. It's a goal of mine anyway to maybe start a charity or something to help kids and teenagers, young people who are suffering with eating disorders on the opposite end of the scale. And, you know, excuse the pun, but like people who are, you know, suffering with overeating disorders and not being able to understand why, when they get stressed out, when they get upset, or when they're feeling down, that they grab for, you know, bag of chips or whatever, and trying to help people to work out why that is. Do you think something like that is needed in the Australian school system?
I think we're definitely lacking in it, and it wouldn't be harmful to have it. So why not? Yeah, I'm just trying to think back. So it's kind of like confusing because I'm trying to read, but I've got my contacts in and I can't actually really read. So every time I come over here and it looks like I'm rolling my eyes.
It's just that you're trying to read.
Just yeah, I'm trying to read.
That's all right.
Yeah, but yeah, we never really talked about the mental health side of things. When it came to nutrition and eating, it was always about just being healthy and all that. And in high school, I was on the overweight side. And I was still like active all the time. And I was really confused as to why I was still like obese in my head. You know, even though I was still active and like, you know, eat that much. I was poor and so eat what I wanted, you know.
Sure.
I would just go grab a can of beans.
Yeah, so that structure around food wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was similar to my upbringing and our household. Like my dad ran a catering company, and in my earlier childhood, he was a baker. And so we always had access to really good food, like as in good tasting food. Maybe not always the healthiest food. But the other thing for us was that my parents worked a lot. So they were always busy. And so a lot of our eating was kind of self-delegated, you know, cooking and things like that. So I think a lot of it was the fact that we didn't have that food structure as well, which was a bit of a problem. So what I just want to interject with, if I may, lads and lassies. So as you guys know, it is the month of November, and in November we have Movember. That's why I've got this. Oh, hold on a second. Somebody's saying that there's something wrong with that you're clipping.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm at it now, and I'm looking pretty silly on
you
there.
Chopping a bit. I think I know why that is. I think I know why that is. And I think I'll be able to fix it in just a minute. So let me just tell you guys briefly. So my brother is, he's one of the, he's a commissioned officer in the Irish ambulance service. And part of his job is he is involved in community engagement. So he works a lot with charities. And one of the charities that they're working with this year is called Little Blue Heroes. Now, I did a bit of a stream the other day where I almost started crying while I was watching some of these videos. So the Little Blue Heroes are these awesome bunch of kids who suffer with very severe disabilities and in a lot of cases, sadly, terminal illnesses and things like that. And what they do is that they actually bring these kids out and they make them honorary police officers. And they take them on days out and take them for spins in the police cars and things like that. A lot of these children, because of their medical conditions, would have had a lot of interaction with ambulance service, firefighters and police officers through their young lives. And so they're people that they look up to. Now, my brother has a little girl in a wheelchair. She sadly can't communicate very well. And so, you know, he's been around that for quite a long time. My family all work kind of in that industry as well. And so basically this, excuse me, this organization are doing a fundraiser at the moment. So it's called the Little Blue Mo for the Little Blue Heroes. So to date, they have raised, so this is coming up in Australian dollars, but they've raised $905 out of the $1,600 that they are trying to raise. Especially now with COVID, it's kind of harder for them to put on bigger events. So a lot of it has to be individual smaller events. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post the link in the chat for anybody who wants to go and donate. There's the Facebook link there to that page. That was set up by my brother. So you guys can go check that out. And any donations are welcome. Doesn't matter how small they are. Just put in there like Irish Demon live stream or whatever so that we know where it's coming from. And also any super chats that come through will be donated by me, and I will match them and donate those super chats as well. So if anybody wants to send in, no fucking huge ones because I'm not that rich that I can match like massive donations. So if anybody has like big donations over like $20 or whatever, just donate direct, please. But no, I will. I'll try to match them as best I can. So yeah, any super chats that you send in, you can just assume that they are a donation. Skeptic Dank says, "What's up, Homo sapiens? Good to see you, my friend." So anyway, thank you for.
Did you see what my Tony boyfriend said?
What did Tony boyfriend say?
I mean, did you see what Tony said?
He's a cheeky bastard. He says, you're never going to look silly when you're next to Irish Demon. He says, you're never going to look silly when you're next to Irish Demon. He sucks all the silliness out of the room. Now, this is coming from a man who is an alleged PhD. He and another one of the smartest human beings on the planet couldn't figure out how to use a fucking microphone the other day. So, you take that back, sir. So, yeah, one of the things that we do on here regularly is we tell dad jokes. Do you have any dad jokes for us by any chance? Because apparently I'm not any good at telling jokes.
Let me think.
I'll open with one. So one of my friends is an artist, and whenever he's sad, I let him draw things on my body. I've got to give him a shoulder to crayon. Thanks for the pity laugh.
I'm trying to think. Like,
what part of the human body dies last? The pupils. What? They dilate. Anybody? Nobody.
Can we just like end this?
Okay, I'm gonna do one more, and then that's it. Okay. So, my missus told me that I have to stop acting like a flamingo. I just had to put my foot down. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, I've heard that one.
All right. Let me hear you. You got to find a dad joke. You can Google it. That's what I do. And somebody said I look like Red Pill Philosophy. Can somebody send me a picture of Red Pill Philosophy? And I'll put up on the screen and see if I look like him or he looks like me. He is a handsome devil, I'll give him that. Well, he's got to be.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't even really paying attention. I was reading and thinking of my joke.
Surf says, I'm laughing but not at the jokes. Come on, she's my guest.
Yeah. All I can think of is why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. That's all I can think of. God. Like that's like intro level dad joke.
That is one of the worst that I think is out there. You're the second person that I've heard say that joke today. Demon Orb says, need a tumbleweed emoji. That's real nice, Demon Orb. Demon Orb, while you're there in the chat, can you please resend me the trigger cam video? Because your one is without a doubt one of my favorites, and I don't know where it is. I can't find it anywhere. I'll have to get you to do a trigger cam as well for me. Have you seen trigger cam yet?
Me?
Yeah, you. Have you seen trigger cam yet?
Oh.
All right, so there's this one guy in particular called Nathan Thompson, who is like the anti-hero of the Flat Earth movement, and he gets triggered really easily. So whenever I'm doing videos where he gets triggered, I get people to send in videos of themselves saying trigger cam, and yeah, it triggers him even more. So yeah, Demon Orb, you know my email address, irishdemon@gmail.com. Please do send that in again, and anybody else that would like to do a trigger cam. So I'll give you an example. Hold on there now. I'm just going to change the screen. So basically, just you, the person, will just go trigger cam. And that's all I want you to do. And whoever wants to do it, send one in. And I'll use it in any video I can. Sneaks up behind Demon with a rag soaked in nap time spray. That's real nice.
I was just reading that.
That's real nice. Oh my god, that is Red Pill Philosophy, right? There's a link. There's a link there from 2AHD Cat. Just click on that and you will see. I do not look like that guy. Come on, man. To quote Joe Biden. Come on, man.
I was kind of confused as to what I was looking at.
Yeah, apparently that looks like me.
I thought that was... Yeah.
Which is bullshit.
It looks like someone else's face has been like photoshopped onto like...
But look, you've seen my beard in the flesh, in the hair, right? Was it or was it not much better before they butchered it on me? Like there's all long bits and short bits and scraggy bits.
I think that it looks better now.
As in the shape is better?
Yeah, and you know, you got your mo.
The mo's looking pretty sweet. I might actually keep this, like.
Yeah, and you got to get that jawline.
Yeah, you do, because otherwise it just looks like a neck beard, right? So it's not too bad, is what you're saying.
But, no, not too bad. And when you get it trimmed, you know, it comes back
That's
nicer.
a good point. That is a good point. Just like Tony's one. That's why he shaves it off every single week. He's supposed to be a beardsman. I feel like we jumped the gun calling the show the beardsman.
Tony's head is the shiniest of all.
Tony's head is so shiny. It is like... He's so bald I can see his thoughts.
It's like
it's like Tony's head is the reason for global warming. It reflects the sun's rays. Oh wait, isn't reflecting the sun's rays supposed to stop?
No, he's
saving us from when Tony was talking about putting reflective material up into the air to save us from global warming. I was thinking, why not just fly you up and strap you to the top of an airplane, you baldy shiny bitch. Good old Tony.
Little Wolf was saying that they're sorry. Why are you sorry? Oh, I got to try and read.
I think they're sorry that you have to sit through my jokes.
Oh, yeah, no. He calls me, he messages me,
constantly,
comes around at strange hours.
All the time. I just knock on the door and I'd be like, knock, knock.
More
shrimp, please. Can I get more shrimp up in the house, please? The plot hole's here. Good to see you, Mr. Butthole. He says, what is this? What is this? So we've got the Beardsman tomorrow night. That's going to be a lot of fun again. I'll just be there to get abused as always, but that's fine. I'm used to it.
And I'll be there
abusing me in the chat. So anyway, back to what we were talking about,
not
right?
You.
Oh, you be there watching your boyfriend Tony. Uncle Boyfriend. That sounds like the village I fucking came from. But anyway, so back to what we were talking about, right? So one of the other things that has been a big thing for me that I've been looking into is the effects of social media on people's mental health and mental well-being in general. Now, you're not really a heavy social media user, are you? Besides YouTube. YouTube doesn't really count.
Really.
Like Facebook, Instagram, that kind of stuff?
I use it a lot, but it's more like for weird fan fiction shit, you know? than actually socializing with real
So
people
let
I've
me ask
met.
you this, right?
Like,
When's the last time that you've been involved in like a Facebook fight? And yes, Microraptor, I am from Cork, the real capital of Ireland. Sorry, go on. Do you get into regular Facebook
I'm
arguments or
sorry.
like Instagram arguments?
Uh, by getting involved, I kind of egg them on a little
You're
bit,
one of
you know,
those.
like, yeah. But when there is like a serious one, I'll just tag the moderator of the group or
Yeah,
whatever and be like,
when it gets a bit over the top or whatever.
deal.
So yeah, I read a book
Yeah.
recently. One book that I would recommend to anybody out there, will definitely change your perspective on social media. So there's a book called 10 Reasons Why You Should Quit Social Media, and that's written by a guy called Jaron Lanier. And he was one of the founders of some of the early social media sites. This guy really knows what he's talking about. And when I was listening through all of these things, I was like, that all applies to me. Like every one of those things. Like I couldn't remember one argument that I've had on Facebook that I might have spent hours on. Like all of you folks in the chat know what I'm talking about, from fighting with flat earthers and how pointless it is. Do you think social media has a big effect on people's mental health?
I think definitely. Definitely. You see people all the time that just have their face in their phones. Um, Growing up as like a semi kind of country kid, when I in the holidays I'd go spend 2 weeks or the long school holidays up on a farm, and I had basically no reception, uh, no like computer, not even like proper TV. Kind of just had one channel and I wasn't allowed to watch it unless it was nighttime. So yeah, I just like chuck my phone and be like, oh, and tell my friends, I'm going to my grandparents. See you guys in 2 weeks.
And then
Bye.
that'd be it.
And it gave me a really good break from just seeing all that kind of stuff and like have my me time and focus on nature and the farm and actually going to bed at a decent
Yes.
time because you're not staring at your phone.
I think I had a similar kind of situation. Like where I grew up is still a black zone. Like there's no phone signal, no internet. And so I grew up without social media. I would use Bebo on Saturdays when I got to go to the city, and that was about it for me. But like you see it now a lot with young kids, like 12, 13-year-olds who are so obsessed about their appearance and things that they put online. Do you think that, because obviously it's early days, we haven't had social media for that long. What do you think the long-term effects could be?
I just kind of know from my own experience. Sorry, getting a bit
No, that's fine.
dark
Go for
here. But in high school, I was majorly cyberbullied. That was when Facebook was starting, Snapchat was starting, and Vine was still
it.
cool.
Oh, I miss Vine. Vine was
and
awesome.
existed. Yeah. But yeah, we would make Facebook groups for like classes and stuff, and I would be deleted from those groups, excluded from them. They would make groups without me, and then in the groups without me, they would post stuff like, they would like take photos of me and stuff and put it on there. Then they'd be like, oh, you should go kill yourself
Wow.
and all that kind of stuff. Don't come to school. You cheat, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Why do you and asking my friends, why do you pretend to be friends with her? And they would like kind of stalk me on Facebook and then like talk about stuff at school.
So do you, I wonder if you agree with this. One of the things that I see with social media, exactly what you're talking about. Like when I was a kid, we didn't really have that much social media. Certainly not like groups or anything like that, right? So when you would have these kind of like bitchy things going on with groups of kids, it would just be in the playground and then it would end there. And then they would go home and go about their lives. But now that stuff is being brought from the playground to their homes and they're talking about stuff all night. So it prolongs that pain for people, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't escape it. It follows you home. And back then as well, our parents did not know how to use the internet, let alone a mobile phone. and they're kind of just learning it now. And they didn't understand cyberbullying. They didn't understand how vulnerable you are when you get on the internet, especially as a child. Yeah, and I remember I went on so many sites I should not have been on. You know,
like, I mean, even, you know, for me, like, I think all the lads out there in particular who would have been around my age, there would have been a time that you got access to the internet and ended up looking at, you know, dirty things or whatever. And like when you go on those websites, you see the little thing that says, if you're not 18, click here to exit. It's like, see you in 3 years, ladies. Nobody did that. Nobody was like, dang it.
No.
You know what I mean? And so that is a huge concern for me because, as you know, I showed you some of the footage of me hunting, I can't say the word because YouTube, hunting people who would do bad things to children. I mean, it's amazing how easy these people have access to kids. It's terrifying. It's something that I always warn friends about.
Messaging me when I was that old. I had people but I was a smart girl and I was like, you know, and I was kind of like I grew up just with my mum. So I didn't really have a male figure in my family. Sure. I had my grandfather. Yeah. But he's Welsh, so that doesn't really classify. Yeah, that's why I don't know any dad jokes because they don't really make sense.
No, and Welsh people aren't funny.
Excuse me, we're the funniest people in the world.
Funny looking, maybe, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of harms for kids on the internet. Like, so one of them is the obvious one with kids getting access to that kind of material that they just shouldn't be looking at. That innocence seems to have disappeared with the dawn of social media and the internet in general. But then you also have kids being exploited. And that's something I've seen firsthand. So I'm a member of a group that goes out and hunts for people on Twitter who would try to sell, you know, that kind of material. We get them shut down, but that's kind of where it ends, really. It just we just try to put a dent in them as best we can. Tina says, hey, us Welsh are awesome.
I was going to say, hey, Teen Jones.
I mean, a Welsh person with the last name Jones, no way. Have you got a Wyn Jones in your family somewhere? Like a Welsh person with the last name Jones is like an Irish person with the last name O'Toole or something. It's the most Welsh name.
I want you guys to guess my grandfather's last name, his Welsh last name, okay? Or what about if you guess his first name? His first name is very, very Welsh.
Okay, so first name that's Welsh. I'm thinking Owen, Dylan, Evan, Reese, I don't know. I'm trying to think some more. Harry,
No.
Thomas. Give us a clue. First letter.
Oh, that's what he goes by. He changed his name to Tom to look more
English,
or sound more
same
Australian. When he
no, but you know what
English,
I mean, like
Aussie.
more Anglo-Saxon.
He gets called Tom. You know.
Let me see. Give me the first letter.
Starts with a H.
Starts with an H.
It's not even like a. It's like a just sound. Imagine vomiting.
Hell. Oh, Hugh. Hugh. But in proper Welsh, they spell that H-U-W, right? Hugh, in the old style. And there's Hugh as well, son of Caw.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter. So what's his... Hold on, his last name... Is his last name really Welsh?
I probably shouldn't say this because you guys are going to try and look at my granddad. Actually, no, you should do that. You'll probably see them in the paper
no way.
Or something. Standing next to a good old Charolais
big bull. So, does he have a really Welsh last name too?
I'm not sure, but
what's
it's
a Welsh
really
last
weird.
name? So you got Jones, Evans.
Yeah. Tina Jones tells because I've never actually been to Wales, and all I know about Wales is from my granddad's recollection, and I'm pretty sure the majority of his childhood he was drunk, because he unfortunately has type 1 diabetes, and back then a cure for type 1 diabetes was to drink port
Oh, yeah,
often.
that'll do it.
So we'd have to
Oh,
book at home.
Davies, that's a good one, Tony.
Yeah, have some port.
Davies. Haggis.
Haggis.
Um,
Harry Tom
is his
Dilly.
last name
So his name
Jars? Is is his last name is it
is
in Perth area or?
no, no.
Ah, well, fucking hell. How am I
Yeah.
supposed to know?
Yeah. This is for everyone else. This is for everyone else.
So his
If they're
first
smarter
name's
than
Hugh.
you, they might get it.
His first name's Hugh. Is his last name? I don't know. What else could you say?
I think Alex X Gaming must be watching a lot of Blue Planet or something. Tom Walker, Tom Blue Whale.
Tom Blue Whale.
Oh, Wales!
Oh, we got some streaming issues.
I get the joke now. I get the joke.
Oh, that reminds me of Ali G when he's like, "Today, me is in Wales. When you think of Wales, you usually think of the fish with the biggest dick in the sea." I love Ali G. So anyway, yeah. So back to social media. Do you think, just off the top of your head, do you think that there is any genuine controls that could be put in place to help to slow down these issues?
I'm not really a tech person, so I can't really know if there are any real ways. But I know definitely educating parents, knowing what your kids are looking at, going through it, like, giving them some kind of privacy, but put blocks on things and educate your kids on what's bad, and not just, and say like, hey, if you do look at that thing, it's not actually like as cool. And I say that thing, you know what I mean, when you got to press that little I am 18,
Yeah,
or I am 21, or
an adult in general.
an adult.
See you in
Yeah.
5 years, ladies. Whoever did that.
And just for the parents.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think parental control
I
is a
did
little
it the
bit more
first
important.
time.
Oh my god.
The first time it came out, I did it because I was scared. I was scared something was going to happen.
You thought the Australian Federal Police were going to come through your windows or something?
I thought something would happen to my computer.
Oh yeah. That's fair enough. That is fair enough.
But then I was like, how the fuck do they know?
Oh, they know.
But then I was like 10. Like I grew up with internet.
See, I didn't.
I was playing Sims back then.
I grew up with the smell of slurry and the sound of young cows. That was about it. The only internet that I ever had was, when you catch a salmon and you put it into the net. That was the only internet that I ever encountered. I'm preempting Tony, going like, ugh.
I would have loved to have gone fishing,
Fishing's fun. But over here, there's not a lot of fish to catch. In the rivers.
Yes. Because of pollution
it's pretty bad.
Invasive species and
that's a big problem.
Drought.
Like, there's a big issue here with like invasive goldfish. So in the Canning River, which is like the secondary river here, you have a lot of Asian carp in there, and they just destroy the native fish. It's a real shame, but
Sorry, I just read the Snarks joke. I don't have a Perth, I have a wallet.
Oh my god. As said by Mike Tyson. Anyway, so yeah, back to what we were talking about. So when it comes to mental health in Western Australia in particular, so you probably agree, Western Australia is very old fashioned. They say that Perth is what is it? Sydney's an hour ahead of Perth, or 2 hours ahead of Perth, but Perth is 20 years behind the rest of the world. It's pretty true.
Perth is just called, or WA, I suppose, it's just called the Wait Around. Wait Around State.
Yeah.
Wait Around. We're just waiting. We're waiting for stuff to
Waiting
come,
to
you
see what
know, for
happens
people
over
to
east,
realize we are
and then
here, you
copy it
know.
10 years later. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of the issue in Western Australia when it comes to men in terms of mental health is there's this kind of machismo. This again, it's not a term I particularly like to use, but it's the appropriate term in this case. It is toxic masculinity here. A lot of my friends, that I worked with in service and stuff, they're all like, "Oh, I'm a big fucking tough man. I don't talk about soft bullshit or whatever." And then
Yeah.
they're just miserable. They're fucking miserable because they're afraid to go and get help because they don't want to look weak. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah. I think yeah, like if you're an Aussie watching, you know, you've been out at night to the clubs, you go to the kebab shop, guarantee some guy is just gonna get his dick out randomly.
Yeah.
And that dick is gonna be the grossest one you have ever seen. Disgusting. But he is just so like, oh yeah, oh, this is gonna get me props. If I get it out, I'm not gonna feel bad about it anymore, and maybe I'll stop crying into my pillow at night.
And a lot of them don't realize that they can get in a shit ton of trouble for that. Like, I've seen a lot of people go
Oh
through
no,
the
no
courts
one.
for it. But it's like,
Well,
there is a lot of
not at the
that shit.
kebab shop.
I
The
don't know.
kebab shop.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Like, one complaint is all it takes for something like that. But it is, I think it is a big problem here, though, that men are afraid to just talk. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there. Have you heard of the Black Dog ride? You know, that happens
no, what's
every
that?
year.
Oh, yeah,
Um.
sorry, yeah, the motorcycle ride out?
Yeah. Yeah. The motorcycle ride. So the Black Dog is like another term used for depression, especially for men. Um. And you know, we have the men's shed in some towns. But I think, yeah, it's definitely not talked about enough because our younger generation are pretty onto it. But then there are a lot of, you know, what about all the, you know, you got to cater for people of all ages.
Yeah,
You can't just be like, oh, whatever, old men are going to just go die soon or whatever.
yeah.
Like, no, why not offer like all these people the same services
Mm.
um, instead of just younger people? Because it's all pretty much in schools and that,
Yeah.
you know.
Like, that's just something you touched on there that I wanted to kind of talk about is the men's sheds. So I remember coming across one of those a while back, and so for those of you out there who don't know what it is, essentially essentially a safe space for men to get together. They do like wood turning and welding and hang out, play PlayStation, drink beer, just to be with a group of dudes, basically. And I think that's really important. Like, a lot of people give men a lot of shit, like, just for being men. And but I think it is important to recognize that, we do need that support structure. And sometimes you just want to be with other dudes and be in an environment where it's comfortable for you to talk about things. And that seems to be very much the case in those men's sheds where, they'll be like, "Oh, how are you doing? Do you want to talk about anything? Do you need help with anything?" And I found that in comparison to, like, there is a lot of MRAs or men's rights activist groups, but it's just a different environment. It's got nothing to do with activism. It's got nothing to do with pushing any kind of rhetoric. It's just purely just blokes helping blokes. Especially, I think Aussie blokes need it a lot because they are afraid to step out of their comfort zone. So I think it is important to have other big burly dudes to talk about these things with, so that they don't feel kind of like they're weak or whatever. You know what I mean?
Most Aussie guys, you know, when they're upset, they'll just go to the pub with their mates and get drunk. And then when they get drunk, they get angry, or, you know, they get really sad and they act out. And then that leads to, you
More
know, them
problems.
regretting it even more and getting more upset, and, you know, maybe even getting charges put against them. And oh, there's another thing I just remembered from actual personal experience. Lifeline does not work like in WA because it isn't open at nighttime.
What?
It closes at the Eastern Standard Time. So, like, when's the most common time for someone to need
At
help
nighttime.
on the phone? quickly at
when
night
they're on their
time.
own at
One
night.
time,
That's right.
I was saying I was feeling really down, I was feeling really bad, and I needed to talk to someone, and I called Lifeline and said, sorry, our office hours aren't open at the moment. It was only 11 p.m.
That's terrible. Like, I mean, I think it is fair to say that a lot of people experience a lot of those issues at nighttime. It can be for a bunch of reasons. Some of it is just that some people are tired, or they've had a couple of drinks, or maybe they just feel more lonesome at nighttime. But yeah, that's crazy. So do you reckon that's more of a funding issue, or?
I think it's just another thing of like how WA is just
Just
the
behind?
wait
Yeah,
around
yeah,
state.
it could be.
We come second. We don't really
We don't really matter.
like. What's the mental health service, the green one,
Oh,
Headspace.
Headspace, yeah.
Headspace. We have like plenty of Headspace clinics like around, well, like plenty around, but they don't really do
Oh,
much.
really?
They kind of just have beginner, like a lot of like students or people that are just starting in the industry, and then they get their experience, and then they get hired out to private. Um,
Oh, out to private
like
practice?
and
Yeah.
yeah, and I've never really been able to get much from Headspace,
Sure.
really, or get anywhere.
Tony points something
But
out, and it's a really good point. And funnily enough, it's actually something that I covered particularly in my one of my finals for university, and he's talking about the spiral out of control. So a lot of the issues when it comes to when it comes to mental health and drug use separately is that over time, so harm relating to mental health and harm relating to drug use are very similar because these harms develop over time. So the analogy I use is the boiling frog analogy. If you put a frog in water and you turn the heat right up straight away, they'll die or they'll freak out or whatever. If you do it slowly over time and you add the heat up slowly over time, they won't notice. So it's similar to drug abuse and to mental health issues where your mental health can go into decline slowly but surely, and you don't notice it as much. It's not like a regular injury where you fall and you crack your skull. You bloody know about it straight away. It takes time to realize sometimes that you have a mental health issue, and it gets worse and worse and worse usually as time goes by. So that early intervention is crucial. So to not have that intervention is frankly terrifying. If I touch wood, if I fell and broke my leg right now again, I would be able to go straight to emergency, get seen straight away, get it fixed, get a cast, and be sent on my way with a handful of painkillers. But that's just not the case for mental health issues. There are obviously emergency care, but you need to be in a really bad way to get that. What do you reckon around
yeah,
that? Do you think that's something we need more of?
um, yeah, because I know from personal experience, some friends and myself, are being turned away from the hospital when they really need to because they've really just reached their limit. There's nothing they can do. And I know a lot of friends as well that turn to drugs and all that to cope because they either can't get prescription drugs or the right drugs, or they can't see a doctor. Um, and also, there are a lot of doctors out there that kind of just chuck out
Yeah.
antidepressants
Yeah.
randomly. Just try this, try this, try this, and they just keep pushing meds on
That's right.
people. When really they shouldn't do that because I mean I have tried a lot of different meds. I was on Zoloft for over 2 years, I think. I started when I was in high school, and then they had me wean off Zoloft, and I'd been on it for over 2 years, which was hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it is horrible.
It it took me about 4 months. And then they put me on this new one. I can't remember what it was called, but it gave me a seizure. Like, what?
Yeah, it can
What?
be
That
like
was,
what I found here, right, is a lot of the GPs, the bulk bill GPs, for those of you who aren't aware what bulk bill is, essentially it's like free. It's paid for by
yeah.
the medical health services or whatever. So you go to a bulk bill GP here, they are so uninterested. If I went into one right now and said, suffering with a bit of depression, blah blah blah, they'll just throw you, valdoxin or some other kind of run of the mill antidepressant. No mental health plan, no referral to a psychiatrist or even just a psychologist. They do that 10-week bulk bill mental health plan, which is useless. It's useless for people with serious issues. And I just feel like they need more. They need more because mental health related harms in Western Australia, in particular, because that's where we know, is massive. Like the majority of people that I know are suffering from some kind of mental health issue. So it's about time, I think, that we got something. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say that plan's actually been changed. That 10
the 10-week plan?
Sessions, 10 sessions.
That's right, yeah.
It can now be up to 20, but I think you have to meet the certain requirements.
Okay. But that's just with the psychologist.
I'm not sure if you.
Yeah.
Yes. With a counselor or psychologist. Yeah.
Because
I think you can.
I think it's fair to
say.
I think
you have to apply for it twice. You have to get 10,
and then
you
reapply
get 10 again.
Yeah.
Now.
Like I think it's fair to say that it's about time that this kind of thing was taken more seriously. So like depression, mental health issues is a massive issue in the Indigenous population. The suicide rates in Indigenous Australians in Western Australia is far higher than other demographics. Tony makes a really good point. He says one of the problems in Western Australia is the feeling of isolation. I agree 100%. It is a big city. It's modern and all the rest of it, but it is literally just Perth, and you drive 10, 15 miles in any direction and you're in the fucking desert, and that's it. It's the desert for 500-600 miles at least. And so I do get that feeling of isolation at times, especially for me being so far from home during a pandemic. It's not easy. It's, being stuck here. I was supposed to go home a couple of months ago, not being able to see my nieces and nephews and family. You do feel it. At least if you have access to other areas. So like if you live in Sydney, you can drive up the Gold Coast, or you can go down to Adelaide within a day. Whereas in Western Australia, if you want to drive anywhere, it's a 3-4 day commitment at least. So yeah, I agree. I think isolation. Do you as a born Perthonian, do you find that isolation as well, or is it more so for outsiders?
I'm just going to relate that to a question that Alex X Gaming asked. He said, "Did that nose ring hurt more or less than any other piercings?" I'm going to say that one's actually probably one of the ones that hurt the least. I do have, the ladies pierced, and that was an experience.
That was the one that you said was like, oh, hold on. Let me ask you this. Do they do them both at the same time?
No.
Oh, man.
So I had to go through one
and then
know that I was going to get the other one. Yeah. But actually, one of the ones that hurt the most was my date piercing.
Oh, that was the one you got for the headaches, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got that for my headaches, and it does work. But for the first month, I had a horrible headache.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so with the piercings and that, you can only really get pierced in Perth. WA is so big, but the only proper piercing shop, in WA, is in Perth, and we don't really have any proper guidelines or anything for piercing, so anyone can do it. Anyone can just go pick up a needle, But they really try to stick to the guidelines of that in Perth. So yeah, if someone in WA wants a nice piercing, they have to drive all the way into the city.
Yeah.
And for some people, on the other side of the country, that will be like driving through 2 bloody states.
Easily. Like the thing that got me, I worked up in the Pilbara for a little while, and I remember you couldn't get things were actually rationed in some of the smaller areas. So Jigalong is a tiny little Aboriginal settlement, and so they have a tuck shop there, and everything is rationed. So you can only buy one can of Coke. You can't buy, you know, a 6-pack because some has to be left there for other people or whatever. Same with buying smokes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was pretty crazy to me, not being able to just get what I wanted when I wanted it. But yeah, it feels that way in Perth a lot. So like, you know what it's like ordering stuff for aquariums and stuff like that. You have to wait for it to come over from over east because there's just nobody here that does it. So it's like...
And you have to make sure that it does actually ship to WA because we have stricter quarantine laws.
We have the world's strictest live animal and plant import laws in the whole world. We have the strictest.
Which we
should. I agree. But like, there's even species of cats that you can't get here. Like, you can't get Bengal cats and certain dogs. There's lizards are completely out of the question. Snakes, etc.
There's this one thing that I hate that we don't have. The one thing that I just really wish that we had is the vaccine for my pet rabbit. Oh, well, I can't remember the name of the virus.
Oh, the myxomatosis vaccine?
Yes, myxomatosis. So our government releases that into the wild to kill off
feral rabbits,
invasive rabbits. But unfortunately, as pet owners, we can't purchase them and administer them to our rabbits. I think that the simple way, you know, to kind of solve that issue would be like, you know, you got to register your rabbit like you have to register a cat or dog. It'd stop people from backyard breeding and being horrible owners. And you won't be able to, you know, lose your rabbit and let it out into the wild and then affect the whole myxomatosis deal that they want.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like, I mean, there is a big problem with feral rabbits in Western Australia. But your rabbit is a big white fluffy rabbit. That poor soul wouldn't last 10 minutes in the wild. And so it's like, just give us the goddamn vaccine. And, you know, it'll be fine. But I guess another big issue is snakes, bringing in invasive snake species. Because we do have a very delicate ecosystem here. And we've got a very unique ecosystem. We've got animals here that you just don't find, like quokkas on Rottnest Island. And we've got some rare bilbies and all that kind of cool shit. Yeah.
PhD Tony, yes, rabbits are great pets.
Yeah, they are. They're awesome.
They do need a lot of care, and rabbits are better as an indoor pet.
And free range.
Especially in Australia because it gets, you know, too hot. And because myxomatosis is carried by mosquitoes and mites.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Outside is not the same.
And when they get excited, they do that thing where they bang the ground. I love that.
Yeah, I'll show you my...
Oh, yeah, go get your bunny.
Come here.
She's really cute.
I have to disengage
and she's
for a
really
second. I'm
soft
sorry,
and lovely. What we'll do... oh, she's gone. Dang it. I was going to say we could take a quick break, but we'll wait until we see Harper.
Friend. No, friend. Stay.
Bunny, no. Bunny, no. I had that incident one time where I was like, I was rubbing my bunny. I was like, oh, it's such a sweet bunny. And then it bit me. But your bunny is bigger than my dogs, right? You've seen my dogs.
She's huge. Yeah. Oh, she is like heavier than both your dogs put together. She's mad at me. She's mad at me because I haven't given her much attention today, you know.
Like you're hair in the air. I've seen that rabbit, right? This rabbit, it's a velociraptor. It is a big rabbit, man.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're so good now.
Oh, she's
everyone.
So
this
cute.
Is Harper.
I think she can see herself in the
she's
screen.
Huge. Yeah, she
is really sweet, and she just kind of follows you around the house, and she's so soft.
Yeah, she's friends with the dogs.
Yeah, cats are shifty as fuck.
But she hates other rabbits. She doesn't like to be held for too long.
She's a bit shy.
Rescue rabbit. So she wasn't really like handled when we first got her.
She tried to chew my laces off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I was just standing there and I'm like, what the fuck do you want, little rabbit? But yeah, she's super cute though. And she's definitely twice the size of both my dogs. It's crazy. Like, my dogs saw
Yeah.
some rabbits at the pet
She
store the other day, and Minnie, the little one, she just was like, what the fuck is this? The rabbit was probably more freaked out than she was. She's like,
no.
what the hell?
You should bring your dogs over. They'd
I
be able to
think
play with her. They're
I
her
think they
size.
would be terrified of her, if I'm honest. Maybe not Minnie. Minnie would just be a little bit freaked out, but Floki would definitely be super freaked out. But what we might do, we might just take a quick,
My rabbit
as
is like,
you Aussies call it, smoko. So lads and lassies, we're going to just take a quick
yeah.
couple of minutes break, and yeah, we'll be back in just a minute. Any questions or anything, just hit us up in the chat, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. All right, so I'm just going to mute your stream because people can still hear us. So yeah, I'm just going to mute the stream, and I'll see you in just a minute. Alright, and we're back. Thank you for standing by, lads and lassies. Alright. Now,
Hello.
so we have some guessing game going on here about how old you are.
Mm-hmm. This is something that
Yeah,
gets
I
me
know,
real
you told
mad.
me yesterday.
Because people think I am a lot younger than I am, and I get told off a lot for going into
Bottle shop is
shop.
a liquor store for all
And
the
when I go-
Americans and stuff out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to reveal your real age. Tae is
was-
actually 46 years old.
Yeah.
Now our screen's jumping around just a touch here because OBS is shitty. But it's free, so that's all pretty good. So anyway, actually, let's just let's piggyback off of that. So
Everyone, I'm sorry. This is gonna be gross, but I'm taking my contacts out because I
Delicious.
can't handle it anymore.
go for it.
I'm
I'll
just
keep
gonna
the show going there. Tony says, is it okay to post a link to mental health resources here? Absolutely. Please do. I would appreciate it, in fact. Thank you so much. Let me see. So I added you as a moderator, Tony. So by all means, feel free to post any links in there that any of you guys want anytime. If you just want to shill out your own channels, if you got a new video coming up, or whatever the case may be, by all means, do feel free to just post that at any time. No problem.
Also, my mom is watching
hello,
the lounge room. I
madam.
just found
She's probably sick of seeing my face.
out.
She's
On
probably
my
sick of seeing my
account,
face at this
on the
stage.
TV.
So anyway, what I want to just move over to is the issue of gender. So this is something that we actually talked about together at length the other day. So now try not to get too angry here. So what we've been doing over the past few days, past couple of weeks now, is we've been going around to all of the different fish stores in Perth to get some ideas, because I'm looking at going into the business a bit more seriously. And tell us about, so I'll just say this, right? So I'll kick it off here. So I didn't notice this at first because I'm a dude, so I don't notice things. So whenever I go to the fish store with Mrs. Demon or whatever, she gets ignored by both the fish people and me because we get into fish brain. She just stands in the back and says nothing, kind of like what I do when she's clothes shopping. So that's fine. But you are different because you are a serious enthusiast. So tell us about your experience in fish stores in general and your experience with me in fish stores.
First of all,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
go
gonna
for it.
confirm my age,
46.
because everyone's asking. I am 21 years of age, soon to be 22 in a few months. So
Damn right.
get
Let's
those
roll. We
presents
should do
ready.
a birthday stream.
Sure.
So anyway, yeah, tell us about your experience on your own and how that differed to when you were with me in the fish stores.
So when I go into the fish store with my mum, or myself, usually I'm kind of just ignored, kind of just like and just kind of sent away. And they're always like, whoa, are you sure you can handle that? Like, whoa, and they don't really engage with me. They don't really do the whole Reddit. They don't
spiel.
tell you the story, of the fish and, or try to get you interested in other things. And when I go back, they never remember me, even though I have a fish tattooed on my arm.
I love that
and
tattoo.
they've seen it quite a few times, they never remember me.
So how did that experience differ to when you were there with me?
When I was with you the other day, basically I was kind of treated like, just like someone sitting pretty, just like a pet really, or a child, like I even engaged in conversation and stuff, and we were all in a conversation together. And then at one point, the shop owner introduced himself to you, but he didn't introduce himself to me.
Just to give a bit of background on that, though.
And at
So
that
the
point,
shop owner is Irish. And so there was that bit of like, oh, you're Irish too. And we were talking about home and stuff. But when we turned to fish talk, well, first of all, I think he assumed that we were an item and that you were just kind of tagging along with me. But when we told him about, you know, your fish keeping experience, and your tank blew me away when I saw it. So let me tell you this, right? So this is just a side thing while we're getting on the story. So when I went to pick up shrimp from you, you had a fish that I have been trying to get for years. It's a incredibly rare fish. So as soon as I saw that fish, I was like, this lady is the real deal, big into the industry, big into the hobby. And when we went to the fish store, so I won't name them, but the first fish store, they had this incredible display tank, which is full of very rare plants. Now, you are a massive plant nerd, an aquarium plant nerd, especially compared to me. I just get them because they look pretty, and I sell a lot of them. But you're actually really into them. Like, your tank is one of the most striking planted tanks that Have you got a picture of it by any chance? Do in a minute and send it to me. I'll put it up on the screen so they can see. Your tank blew me away when I saw it.
Yeah, and there's no CO2.
So it's what's known as a low-tech tank. So it's got nothing special, just care involved.
Yeah.
So we were in the fish store, and there's a type of plant called a Physidon, which is like it's kind of like a moss, and it's quite rare. It's quite hard to keep.
It's very pretty,
delicate.
moss.
It looks like a feather. It looks like a bunch of little feathers, and it does require experience. It requires care. It requires perfect water conditions, perfect temperature, all of that kind of stuff. But it's a very rewarding plant to keep. Tell the good people what happened when you asked what genus of that plant it was.
Basically, I was like, oh, you know, what's like the deal with this plant? And then they were like, oh, yeah.
Well, he didn't even say the name. He just said
whatever. However you said. No. Oh, he's just like, oh, this is a very advanced moss. It's very expensive. A clump this size would cost about $140, and basically just completely cut me off.
What happened when I asked?
This is too good for you. And when you asked, he went right into it, telling you all about it, all about the different types.
He even called another guy over to confirm that what he was telling me was correct.
Yeah. And it was just ridiculous. And when we were on the other place, you know, someone said, might as well be a sexy lamp. They referenced something there. Just kind of treated like a little kid or something. And even when we went to pay for our items,
if I was paying for everything,
asked you know, if you were paying from, not even me, and I was standing right there. They didn't even say, are you two paying together or are you two paying individually? Which is what you usually do. They went...
Yeah. Actually, he kind of just went all together like that. And I was like, nope.
Yeah. And I was like, no. And I even was like, oh, I think I should buy some moss. You know, like, pitch me yourself.
In that particular store, it is without a doubt one of the most remarkable, beautiful stores. They have such rare, amazing stuff. But they have CO2 on everything, which is expensive.
On everything. And I was like, what do you have that doesn't have CO2? Yeah. Show me your skill. Show me the time and effort. You know?
Your tank takes a lot of work. Like, even in the short times that I'm there, you're always working on it. You're putting effort into it. And to be fair, they are a store, so they kind of need to just get things done, make it look pretty. But it was striking to me that even though they had these little teeny, for those of you who aren't in the fish world, little teeny tiny tubs, say that 20 times fast, little small tubs of moss are about $20 for a reasonable variety. An expensive variety, a little tiny tub, will cost you $50 to $100 easily, and goes into the thousands for some species for a little pinch of it. So when you were like, I think I should buy some moss, you would expect them to go, oh, let me show you my collection of... And they have an incredible collection. Yeah. But nope, they didn't even ask you if you wanted to buy some. But when I said, I think I should buy some moss, he was pointing out each individual moss, what the parameters were, all this kind of stuff, asking me how my tank was set up, and they just ignored you.
That dude's face when you told him that you bought a half beak off of me,
Yes.
a platinum half beak, he was like,
So a platinum half beak
and I
is
was
a
like,
rare
yeah,
fish.
you sold it to
That's
me in
right.
the first place, but you don't remember me.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like a platinum half beak is a rare fish. They're an expensive fish. I bought a couple of them the other day for $50 just for two little teeny little fish. And so when we were in there and he asked, you know, what kind of fish do you have in that tank? I was like, oh, I've got about 30 tanks, but in that tank, I've got some platinum half beaks. And he was like, wow, really? Platinum half beaks? I was like, yeah, I bought them from her. And he was like, what? And I could even almost picture in his brain, he was probably thinking, oh, she probably didn't even know what she had. You know, that kind of thing. That's the impression I got. I think a lot of it was awkwardness. Like, a lot of them wouldn't be used to young women being in the store. It's usually old fat dudes. You know what I mean? So I think that was probably part of it. But definitely, they assumed that you were my little, what would you call it? What's the word? Little trophy. And that you were just being dragged along to the fish store like every other wife or whatever that's in there. But you probably have a better tank than the majority of the... You got to go get a picture of the tank now. We've got to show the people. Yeah. It's awesome.
Also, I'm not in the middle of the frame. I'm like...
Oh, you bouncing around again. That's because of OBS. Let me just fix that. There we go.
Hang on. Should I move?
No. You stay there. You stay there.
Okay.
Hold on. I just got to move things around just a touch. Whoops.
How about you mute me for a little bit? I'm gonna go take a photo and just go to the toilet real quick.
We call that taking a Riley around these parts. Yeah, Riley is a guy who pissed on a live stream. And so we call it taking a Riley. And he tried to hide it, but not very well. Alright, the stream is now sorted back out. But yeah, you go do your thing, take a photo, and I'll chat to the fine people here. Alright, you're off the screen. Okay, so let's turn to the chat and have a look here. Tony Regime says, do you have sumps for your tanks? I don't actually have sumps on any of my tanks. So the majority of the tanks I keep, besides the one you see over here from time to time and one of the ones over there, I actually keep a lot of nano tanks. A lot of the fish species that I keep are what are known as nano fish or ditter fish, little tiny fish. And I keep a lot of very rare fish species, which is kind of my thing. So I like to have independent filtration on each tank. No two tanks are on the same filter system. And the reason for that is the less kind of interaction you have between tanks, the less chance of a serious illness getting out into the rare fish. So for example, this tank over here, I had an outbreak, very common thing called white spot. It is very common, but it also can result in some very serious issues. So once you get that kind of a thing into a delicate species, then you're in big trouble. Alien X says, do you breed fish, or why do you have so many? So yeah, I do actually breed a lot of rare fish. So I've got a very small group of customers who buy rare fish because they are very expensive and they're generally fairly kind of high maintenance, and they do require a lot of knowledge around their keeping and things like that. And then on the other side, I also keep a lot of rare plants and shrimp, which are very hard to get these days. Do I keep any corals? No, I don't actually keep any saltwater yet. I'm waiting until we buy our house so that I can actually get a proper saltwater tank, just as a hobby tank, because anybody who's in the aquarium industry will tell you that saltwater is not a big money maker unless you're going into super rare stuff. Paul Shorthall says, hi there, greetings from the motherland. Paul is a fellow Irishman. Constatu, Paul, good to see you, my friend. Tina says it's hard not to breed when you have the numbers. Well, I tell you what, I've got a tank over here full of Endler's live bearers, and the saying there is, if you want to breed Endler's live bearers, just add water. They would breed in the bag. I've had it. Yesterday, I bought about 100 guppies from a supplier breeder of mine because I sell a lot of them. And when I got home, I had about 50 babies in the bag. So one of the females decided to drop all her babies. So yeah, they're a lot of fun. Anyway, so our special guest is back. Gonna bring you up on the screen. Yep, no worries. So did you manage to get a picture of your tank for us? Oh, will you just, if you could text it to me, that would be great. I'll put it up on the screen and show the fine peeps. That's all right. Alien X says it's hard to breed when you have my numbers. Overweight white guy. Tell me about it. Hey, you can be big and sexy, man. Take it from me. You can be big and sexy. Just look at me. Even when I was 150 pounds heavier, I was still a sexy beast, a spexy beast. So who else have we got in the chat? I'll say a few hellos. Oh, we got Dark Steve. Good to see you, man. On Flat Earth. Good to see you. Little Wolf, Alien X. I think I've read most of these people out over the last little while. Hey, it's a me, Mario. So Mario, I need you to email me your address when you get a chance to irishdemonvids@gmail.com because I'd love to send you a card. So Mario has been a supporter of this channel since literally like day one, and has always been such an incredible asset to the channel and a wonderful person to speak to. It was great talking to you in the members only chat. Paul says, doing good here in spite of the lockdown. I tell you, I was talking to my mom yesterday and she was talking about how rough the lockdowns were being. And yeah, I'm thinking about you all back there. I wish I was home with you all. And once I get back to Ireland, I can't wait for you and I to meet up. What part of the country are you in, actually? I'd love to get together once we get home. There's a few Irish folk in the chat. So one of these tanks, right, I saw from day one, obviously. And the other one you put together in what, a day? Are you ready to go back on the screen? All right, she's finished shape shifting, so I can bring her back up. So one of these tanks you finished within about a day, right? Like it was. So tell us about the big tank. All right, hold on a sec. I'm just gonna get up the image of the big tank first. And did you drink your Coke too fast there? Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, so the big tank. So you reckon this isn't a very good photo, but that's okay. Because yeah, sometimes the light when you try to take a photo of a fish tank, it just does not bear well at all. So here we have it up on the screen. So this is your magnificent tank. So you've got some crypts in there. You've got an awesome piece of moss in there. And how many shrimp would you say you have now after me decimating them? Yeah,
probably about.
They say that when you
now,
have one shrimp, you actually have 100 shrimp. Like there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah, because you try to get them and they just go zoom.
And by the time they come back out, they've had 10 babies. Like that's how quickly they breed. So that tank is it's a low tech, so it doesn't have any CO2 or any of that stuff on there. But you've got a lot of work put into that, right? Like there's.
So that was after pruning it, and I kind of destroyed all of the front coverage. I had a lot of hair grass there because I got string algae, and when you pull the string algae off, it kind of just rips the it up with the substrate, and I just chuck it in the bin because it grows back. But I ended up filling 4 big bags of cuttings and just giving them away to someone, and they managed to plant their whole tank for free.
Next time. So the other tank, I'm just gonna get the image of this one up. So this one was essentially thrown together. Like you just had to kind of it was literally a day because I was there one day, the next day I came back and you had this amazing tank set up, and I was like, how come I didn't see this tank the last time?
Yeah, I did it in probably about 4 hours because I had to rush. I noticed that my half beaks, my main female had started giving birth because they are live bearers, but they eat their young like crazy. The males will literally wait under and pull them out of
they're
birth.
Pretty brutal,
out.
Actually, aren't they? So this tank, we went looking for stones and stuff for this tank, and I was kind of like, yeah, that'll work, but you really pulled it together. That piece of wood in the middle is just beautiful. Yeah, it's really like to be able to pull that out in a few hours is remarkable. And then you go into a shop and they kind of talk down to you just because of your gender and age, or perceived age, I should say. When I know a lot of those guys
Yeah.
just have bare bottom, shitty looking tanks compared to yours, it kind of pissed me off too. But yeah, what's your dream fish?
Well, it's not actually a fish. I would really love a pair of axolotls, classic
One albino, one
albino
black.
and black one.
So that's also known
Yeah.
as the Mexican walking
And
fish.
I'm not gonna call them salt.
For those of you who might know them as that.
Yeah.
But they're pretty brutal little guys, though. They eat everything: plants, fish,
Yeah, everything.
eat
Even
each other.
each other. They'll eat their own leg if they're hungry.
Stones, your tank. They're pretty much, but they are very cool, very creepy.
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to touch one.
But I've heard that that putting fake turf on the bottom of your tank is the best way to have them. So no one swallows anything,
Yeah,
and
because
it's
you
the
can
best
just
way to
vacuum
clean.
it out without worrying about, getting stuff everywhere and them re-eating their own disgustingness. I'm just going to put
And
an
you can't
image
really
up of an axolotl so people can see what they look like, just in case you haven't seen one before. But what else? What other kind of fish do you reckon you'd go for?
I would love a gigantic koi pond.
Oh yeah.
Koi are very, very close to my heart because my late father, he bred koi and they built a huge pond out the back full of koi, and I used to just love them. And they're like puppies almost. They remember people, they come up to you, they'll eat from your hand. And the whole koi industry is very interesting. There are so many videos on YouTube. Just look up koi.
And it's thousands
Boom.
of hours. There's a
all about
town that I really want to go to in Japan. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe Tony might know because he spent some time in Japan. Let me just look it up here. So it's a town in the mountains, and they have these natural streams and canals that run all through the city. So it's called Shimabara. I think Shima means mountain or hill. Maybe Tony, you might be able to shed some light on that. So basically, they have koi everywhere in this town, like absolutely everywhere. And people even have this natural spring water that runs into a little pool in their homes. They will keep koi in those pools, and they'll just put their plates in there afterwards, and the koi will eat all the rice and vegetables off it and clean everything, and it's absolutely amazing. But what I'll do is I'll bring up a video of it, so I can play it to people. I'll have to play it without sound because of copyright, but just my internet's been a bit slow.
Honestly, that would just be the dream. To have koi do my dishes
There you
for
go.
me.
Like you get to chill with the fish and get your dishes done. Fish and dish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find this video.
Put your feet in there.
Let me just get this up here. So this will be without sound.
Tina Jones.
Sorry, go on.
They got koi in the sewers.
Yeah, there's koi in the sewers, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm just gonna find this video.
Yeah, but you gotta say it like they got alligators.
They got
in the
alligators.
Sewers.
They got koi in the sewers.
The sewers.
All right. Okay, so now it's not.
Yeah, what's this
working
video?
for me. This is OBS, right? This is what happens. Let me just see if I can get this up here. So Google.
Oh, I got so confused. I just accidentally switched tabs and opened a different video, and I thought I was like, this isn't koi. It was the video that I think Alex X Gaming put it in earlier, and I put it aside to watch later. Was it you?
All right, I'm just gonna bring the video
Can't
up on the screen,
remember.
so we'll be seeing it a little bit later. Hey guys, just so you know, I had to edit this part out because this is the part that I was talking about that got the stream deleted. So make sure and hit that like button. Oh yeah, everybody's saying it's choppy. Sorry guys. So yeah, that's a good sign that my computer's a little bit overloaded now. So we need to wrap up soon anyway. before we head out, is there anything that you'd like to say? So you've started a new YouTube channel, right? You have a link, I think. I think you did.
I sent it to you.
Just see if I can find it. It's coming up. My computer's just absolutely shit itself right now. But that always happens to me. Alright, so I am actually your first subscriber. So I'm going to put a link in the chat beside us. So anybody who would like to check out Tae's new channel, do so. Head on over there. Drop a couple of subs. We got 34 people watching right now. If we can get half of that even. If we could get 17 subs before the end of the stream, that would be awesome. So yeah, before we go, is there anything at all that you wanna say, or?
Tony.
Pretty boy.
That's it.
I agree.
I'm done.
I think he is pretty. Tony, you got an admirer here, my friend. But anyway, lads and lassies, thank you all so much for coming out tonight and for having a good chat with us. I want to extend a massive thank you to my wonderful guest tonight. It's been great having you on. Just before we do go, I just want to say hello to another great friend in the chat, Mr. Daniel Pratt's water heater. I've got a lovely Christmas card on the way to you, good sir. So what I've got here is a bunch of, let me just make sure I'm not doxing anybody. Got a bunch of Christmas cards to send out. So if anybody, Tony, you fucker, he says she's only human. Does that explain me too? Anyway, so yeah.
That's why he's the the sexiest beadsman.
I think that's just complete butter, Fred. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, I've got some Christmas cards to send out to people, and if there's anybody out there who's a member or a Patreon or whatever, you don't even need to be. If you're just a loyal subscriber, hit me up, irishdemon@gmail.com, and I will send you out a nice Christmas card with some probably naughty messages and imagery on it. So don't let one of your younger family members open it up.
Get a Christmas card?
Fuck no.
Oh.
No, I'll give you a special Christmas card for the next live stream. That's what we'll do. That's definitely what we'll do.
Okay.
So anyway, lads and lassies, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It's been a lot of fun. So this is essentially the very first episode of Saturday Night Tea, which is Saturday Night Tea or Irish Tea. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. So yeah, we might do Irish coffee during the week and Saturday Night Tea Saturday night. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
That does sound fun, doesn't it? So what
I have to bring tea next time.
Yeah, I actually have a big fucking thing of iced tea out there I'm going to drink after this. So anybody out there in the chat, if you have an interesting story or something that you would like to talk about, do hit me up, irishdemon@gmail.com, or check out my Discord. I will get the link for right now. And do come along, just let me know what you'd like to come on and chat about. It can be anything at all. That's the idea behind Saturday Night Tea. It's just like coming over, having a cup of tea with a buddy and having a chat about all the world's problems, trying to fix the world. I can't open my Instagram. Not my Instagram, the other one. But before we go, we have... actually, we might just extend this a little bit longer. Might get PhD Tony in to say hello. Let me just give him a call. Hopefully he's still online. Okay, we're ringing him right now, so hopefully he'll pick up before we go. Now, I'm going to just move around. You get to say hello to the man himself. Alright, so it sounds like...
Just give me a minute to set up my video.
No worries, Tony's just going to fix his hair. Oh, I've lost you off the screen, dang. Uh-oh. What have I appear to have done something. Whoops. Alright, I am just going to shut this for 1 minute, and then I'll be right back, because I broke everything.
Nice work.
Hey, says you.
Well done.
Mr. I wish I got a PhD in how to use a fucking microphone over here. So, right, let me just I'm just going to get the screen kind of reorganized, rejig it a little bit, move me up there, move Tony over there, and we are nearly ready. So yeah, Tony's just brushing his long, luscious hair at the moment. Sorry, I just realized that the people out there actually can't hear either of you, so what I just said a minute ago might not have made any sense whatsoever. There we go. There's you, and there's Tony. All right, so we're just waiting for Tony. You don't need to brush your hair, like.
It's an obsessive. It's an obsessive.
Hence the lack of hair. He's literally brushed his hair off his head. So.
Not working.
Oh, this is you not being able to tech again. Hold on, I just realized people... Are you guys getting an echo? If you get an echo, tell me. Just don't say you're getting an echo when you're not, as some people like to do. I'm looking at you, Alien X Gaming. Alien X says... Tony! Oh, we can see him. He's... oh my god, you're tiny on the screen. Jesus. There we go. Alright, we got PhD Tony in the house. So... Tony, how does it feel to still be the least bearded of the group? I don't know which one of you that mocks more, actually. So anyway, Tony, how are you doing?
Hey. I'm just trying to not hear you twice. I'm doing very well. You guys were having a really interesting chat earlier about mental health, and I was very impressed because when I was I had no idea about mental health at all. So I thought it was really good that she was bringing that level of maturity and insight.
I agree 100%
to that sort of discussion.
So we do have an echo. Tae, can you just say something? Okay, that's all I need. It's that means we're up and running yet again. Sorry about that, lads and lassies. We should be good to go now. I am just going to go get a beverage. I will leave it to you two folks. Tony, over to you. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Invite me on. So, can I ask, what was it that got you into sort of the fish tending business?
Well, I think it was my dad with the koi.
Right.
Yeah, and I've always been an animal person, and I just think they're beautiful. They're beautiful to watch. They're really fun to look after, and it's a hobby that you really got to teach yourself a lot and do a lot of trial and error. So yeah. Do you do any fish keeping, Tony?
I don't. I live in a very small flat, so I'm not really up on pets. But fish, I really look for sort of an emotional connection with pets. So I really like cats and cats and dogs and animals that are going to react to me. So I kind of like mammals who sort of are going to acknowledge my presence.
There are actually quite a few fish that do recognize their owners and will come up to you. And I think there's a few people that have taught like their better fish or their fighter fish to jump and like touch a little ball, and then they get food and like do other kinds of tricks. And there's this other fish.
An Oscar.
It gets quite large. I can't remember what it's called.
South American Oscar. They're amazing. And they I've got a cichlid called a Mangano. It's an African cichlid, and he'll follow you around the tank and all that kind of stuff. He's a lot of fun. Oh yeah. Oh when I walk into the room, he knows it's me. He starts swimming quick, and he knows he's gonna get fed. And yeah, there's some fish are just really stupid. Some fish could nearly be as stupid as a flat earther. In fact, maybe not quite. But yeah, I reckon a nice little nano tank for Tony, something around the size of that there, with a nice maybe a koi blue beta fighter in it. We might have to make that happen, Tony.
Oh no!
Oh, they are jumpers. Or shrimp tank.
They always jump out. He's
shrimp tank for Tony. Let's launch hashtag Get Tony a shrimp tank.
Shrimp. Oh, the good old goldfish. You know, I started with goldfish, and you know, they're really good at recognizing their owners, and they don't actually have that 2-second memory.
Something like that, yeah. If you keep engaging with them, they seem to develop a better memory of you. Tina says Oscars get absolutely huge though. So I had an Oscar for a while called Andre.
Yes.
And he was about, I want to say, a kg, which is big. But you remember the fish I showed you yesterday, my friend's fish. So my friend has got a fish that could eat my dog in one gulp. Like, that's not even a joke. So he's got a red-tailed catfish, and it's about... So this thing, I took a selfie with it, and its head is the same size as my head. And that's one of his pet fish. And that thing will, like, he will wag his tail at you. He's an amazing creature. So, Tony, you have cats, don't you? Oh, do you know? I thought
no, I
you
don't
had a cat
actually.
For some reason.
Well, there is a cat that comes in, and my neighbour's cat, when it's too hot out, will come in and you know, sort of lays around in the cold. So I sort of half own a cat. I timeshare a cat.
So it's like the cat version of Uber, basically. You just kind of you have it for a short time.
Yes, it's the cat.
Cats don't have owners. They own themselves.
Yeah, they have people they're willing to.
They have servants.
Whose presence they're willing to tolerate.
Like, to be fair, my dogs are kind of like that, where it's just like you put something down for them to eat, and they'll kind of look at it as if to say, "Well, that's not close enough. I'm over here. Why would you put it over there?" It's quite funny, actually. But
Oh, my rabbit does the same thing. I put a carrot on the floor, and she looked at it. She went over to her bowl and then looked in her bowl as if to say, like, put it in my bowl.
My bowl is not there for the fun of it. It's like,
what do you?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm going to eat off the floor? Do you?
Do you think I'm a filthy animal?
Rabbits are very high maintenance. Like, they can be quite high maintenance at times.
Rabbits are actually quite clean, but cats are goddamn filthy.
Your ones?
Yeah, my ones. They're so dumb. They don't know how to use their toilet properly. The other one pissed himself the other day because another cat came over and he saw it, and even though he's like twice as big, and we have another cat that was outside with him, he
just freaked out.
He pissed himself.
Aww.
Like, literally.
But he's a very gentle cat, though, isn't he? He's a very kind of shy. Like, he took one look at me the other day and was like, "Nope," and he was gone. He was like, "No fucking way, dude." He's a beautiful cat.
But I did see him rub up on your leg last time you were here.
Oh, was that the cat? I thought that was the rabbit.
Yeah.
Or Tony.
No.
Oh, I lost audio there for a sec. Or else...
You did lose audio for a second.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, you're really rubbing this tech superiority.
Hey, at least people can actually hear me, and it's not just like it's not just you going like this for an hour and Phil Bell's face like. Oh man.
Yes.
In Wisconsin, a family friend had a rabbit farm. Oh, that sounds really like I'm assuming that's where people go to cuddle rabbits and not something else, right? Let's just go with that assumption.
So
that sounds nice.
I will say my first experience with a rabbit was
a one that you just bedeaded, wasn't it?
No, one that we intended to use for consumption.
Okay.
But now I cannot.
It's actually funny you mention that, because for me, I cannot eat shrimp because I keep shrimp. I find it hard to eat fish.
I can't.
Oh, well, you die if you eat shrimp, right? Let me tell you, right? I was over there the other night getting some shrimp. And I was like, why don't you just... Because remember, you couldn't get it out of the net. I was like, why don't you just grab it and put it in things? You were like, because I'll die. I was like, that's a bit dramatic. I was like, what the? And you're like, no, I'll actually probably literally die. So I was like, oh, okay.
Some seafood allergies are that just...
So, Tony, do you have any allergies?
I haven't died yet, though.
I used to be allergic to food. But it passed. Seriously, I used to be allergic to any food that wasn't just a green vegetable. Dairy, it'd make me come out in hives. My face would swell up. It started in the second year of university and persisted for like 5 or 6 years, but it meant that I was, not going to be able to eat stuff that I really wanted to eat, and I just ignored it, and eventually it went away. So, or at least the symptoms have gone away.
You've got some serious underlying issues that are going on right now as a result of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, but so far it hasn't really come up to attention. But yeah, I was for a while there. People would marvel at the way my face would swell and distend.
You mean like right now, or?
And I would go. No. This is normal. This is what I look like normally. This is not my Quasimodo face. Are you sure you're not having
some kind of reaction right now? So I've been told that I dress like a bunny when I go to furry parties. Do you know what a furry party is, Tony?
I do, because I was paying attention when Tim Skeptic talked about it.
I thought you were about to say I do because I hold one here every second Thursday or something.
How dare he pollute your mind, Tony?
When I first met Tony, right? When I first met Tony, Tony was in, you were on a live, you were doing a debate. And I'm not just saying this, right?
Yeah.
I was fucking blown away. And we ended up in a live stream together at one stage. And Tony was so straight-laced and blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't PhD Tony. He was Dr. Anthony Purcell. And now I've corrupted him and driven him pretty fucking mad at times, I must say, with my my devil's advocacy. Dude. I work for the devil pro bono in my in the live streams. I didn't the last time because we were all fucking fed up with Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff. So how do you think that whole thing's gone? It's getting spicy.
It is getting spicy, but it's also getting fairly pathetic and dismal as he continues to deny reality, and he's going to thrash around with increasing lack of dignity. I mean, just to sort of step back a little bit, early on in YouTube, when I'm trying to present facts, and people, JL was giving me a hard time for this earlier today. When I do my science videos, I'm not there to entertain you. I'm not there to sort of, make this interesting. Either you want to know what's in the video or you don't. And I'm just trying to present it, and that's that's sort of how I came into the debates.
There is one side thing to that though. So for your videos, your videos are kind of very much like almost like a lecture format, really, aren't they? To some extent, and so for pure knowledge, that is, in my opinion, I think that's the way to go. But the other subset of people that watch your videos are those who are struggling with not being able to get to sleep. And just to hear Tony's silky voice just puts... It's the voice. I mean, it's not the content or anything. But no, I think you probably are one of the... You and Phil, I reckon, are probably the only two out there that are actually giving those lecture-type videos, which are, I think, completely invaluable. I think they're super, super important. Just wanted to, thanks for the massive lull there. But yeah.
Thank you for that. But one of the things that obviously I'm a person. I've got a sense of humor, and I by the sheer intellectual dishonesty that I'm fairly reliably entertaining when that happens, because people like seeing me lose my temper, apparently. But it's really all scientists are people, like they're people too. We had one guy, one of the seismologists, and he's one of the greatest seismologists who's ever lived in our research school. But boy, he had a temper on him. Like at one stage, he was cycling to work, and some motorist was giving him a hard time, and he's just turned around and punched the window with his hand and put a filthy great crack in it.
Though, to be fair, I mean, I was in the car with Tae the other day, and I was like, God, I hate how aggressive Perth drivers are. And then at the same time, I'm like, get off the fucking road, you idiot. So yeah, I kind of get that too. But here's a question for you: who has made you almost completely lose it more, Flurfs or me? I think me.
No, actually, it was Brian's.
Brian's logic. He loses his Irish card. Yeah. He was one of the stupidest human beings on the planet. I truly believe. He was. He wasn't just stupid, but I remember one thing somebody asked him is, what about if somebody disagrees with you, Brian? He goes, well, they'd be wrong. And it's like,
that's
my
right.
God.
But it's just like so that's where the double standard comes from. That's where sort of the because I've got a crude sense of humor. I've got a filthy temper.
Which I love.
When and I'm not and people kind of think of academics. Well, academics have to be professional. They have to be dispassionate. We're people. We're just like everybody else, and stuff pisses us off. And when it pisses me off, you're going to know all about it, like that. Barry.
Oh my God, the guy with
who was the
guy with the visor?
The climate denialist.
Or he had oh my God, man, that guy made me so angry. Because we've talked about this, and I know that it's something you are massively passionate about, but until I spoke to you about it, I had obviously I'd known about climate change like what the average layperson would know, but what I didn't understand was the genuine real world effects of it down the line. And to hear you talk about that and explain it, and obviously know exactly what you're talking about. And then to hear someone like him just go, no, it's bullshit. That made me so fucking angry.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He just sort of rounded on it. I am self-conscious here because Tae hasn't said anything for a while. So
that's because I muted myself there.
You certainly are.
Am I unmuted now?
You are. So
unmuted. When it comes to actually, this is a perfect opportunity to ask you, Tae, because we I guess being in the flat Earth debunking world, we are kind of more attuned to all of these different things. So from your perspective, what is the kind of general knowledge of climate change and its worries? Do you think that there's been enough coverage of it, or like the denialism from the likes of, the leader of the free world saying that it's a myth, which to me is one of the fucking stupidest things. For the president of the United States to go, how could there be global warming? I was in New York yesterday and there was snow everywhere, okay? The best snow, the coldest snow. You're like, how fucking stupid can this man be? So what's your view? What's your view on all of that? Do you think it's covered enough?
I'm pretty sure like the world's just gonna end in like 30 years. You know, there's only so much change, you know, you as a single person can make to change global warming and, you know, the effect we have on the environment. And it's up to the leaders of the world to do that. And right now, it looks like half the world is run by a bunch of dickheads. And, you know, who's corrupt? Everything's really kind of gonna go downhill probably from here. But I'm hoping that I get a house in the mountains
with a big
somewhere
high-powered rifle, so nobody can get near you. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the
no, I have
bunny.
half for that.
Like the rabbit from Holy Grail.
Yeah.
What that? It's only a little bunny in it. Oh hey, it's only a wee bunny in it.
She pretty much did that child one time. A small child was here and screaming and running around, and she
didn't take to it. You
not
should get
like
one of
that.
those signs.
Yeah.
You know, one of those signs that say, "Don't worry about the guard dogs, but the cat is shifty as fuck." You should get one of those for the rabbit. Definitely. So Tony, with you, so you've traveled pretty extensively. Have you noticed a different attitude towards like climate change and recycling in different parts of the world? I think Japan is probably a good benchmark to look at as well. What have you noticed in that respect?
Well, I've noticed sort of, well, obviously Japan has a very different attitude because they're so space poor. Generally, countries where they don't have a lot of space, they tend to realize, well, if we don't want to be living on top of a pile of our own shit, we're going to have to be sort of careful in how we treat the place, right? Sort of a tradition of well, we can just put it somewhere else. We can just put it a little bit further away, so that we're comfortable with it. We're just going to, and so for larger, more spread out countries, you tend to see, well, it's not a problem. There's always going to be somewhere where we can dump stuff. There's always going to be somewhere where we can, and there's some other way to sort of move the problem out of your immediate attention. Whereas smaller countries where there's not so much space, they tend to be a lot more aware of the significance of what's going on. I've also noticed that basically there's a lot of climate denialism that is fueled by Rupert Murdoch. It's one of our great Australian exports. So I think single-handedly he has managed to sort of completely distort political discourse. And I think actually, this is actually another discussion that I'm having with other people. Is sort of I feel like a lot of people on the left are playing into Rupert Murdoch's game, right? What Rupert Murdoch is trying to do is he's trying to polarize everybody. There's one side over here that's reasonable, and there's this other side over here that is irrational, emotive, and soft and wrong-headed. And that's the left. The left, he presents the left as irrational, unreasonable, and consistently emotive. And when people on the left get so unhappy about stuff like, Anne Hathaway was recently criticized for appearing in a film where her character only had 3 fingers, and she was accused of being insensitive to disabled people and you're just wondering, how do you even rationalize that? She's an actress, why does what is her name? The woman who plays Black Widow. Why can't she play a transsexual person? we allow straight people to play gay characters and gay people to play straight characters. Why is that wrong? Why, there are so many sort of fabricated, far-fetched controversies that people are really strident about. They get up and they say, this person is a bad person because of this. It's not like, and by doing that, they just feed into Rupert Murdoch's narrative that they're unreasonable, irrational, and and emotional. It blocks any constructive discussion from happening because what they're doing is saying, actually, we think we should have a discussion about this because it may not be okay. Instead of doing that, they're going, you're evil. You did that, you're wrong, and you're evil for doing it. And if you don't immediately do what I say, you're just a bad person. It's
and with that, that is, I think it's always been a problem to some extent, the amount of power that the media have over us because of the narrative that they're able to present, and their influence over so many people. But I think it's become even more of an issue now in the age of social media because of the fact that in order to be relevant, a lot of these media companies need to essentially have shock content. Like when you see something like the Irish National News, Radio Telefíshir and RTE, basically putting out videos that are essentially clickbait, it then becomes a serious issue of, well, are they just giving us the news, or are they just trying to sell ads at this point? But with the Rupert Murdoch side, like Rupert Murdoch is without a doubt one of the most powerful people on the planet because of the amount of control that he and his family have over the world's media. It's so to be able to swing that big of a stick without being an elected official is a terrifying prospect.
Yes. Well, I'd be interested to hear what Tae thinks. Sorry, Tae. I threw you on throwing you under the bus here.
Yeah, I was reading again, and I got off track. Sorry, what was the question? I do know what we were talking about, though. Rupert Murdoch being a power-hungry person.
Well, just what do you think about the whole idea? Well, you can talk about Rupert Murdoch and sort of the role of the media more generally, or you can talk about the dangers of sort of the
media,
cancel culture and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Twitter definitely is a very dangerous place nowadays. You can't really say anything having a go at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we see. Sorry, go on.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as well, like a lot of people recently were like canceling people like on Twitter, and someone's always getting cancelled or whatever, and something bad will happen, someone will say something about someone, and then everyone will just unsubscribe from them and leave them alone and not watch anything else or trust anything they say ever again. And pretty much the whole internet is just fabricated things that people say. It's, like no one's ever been their true self on the internet. So you can kind of create any kind of persona. And if you're just spouting things like you know what you're talking about and like you have power, people are probably going to listen to you that way.
Yeah. It's one of the issues actually, just to get a bit academic, is that a lot of scientists and academics, they'll use qualifiers and they'll be a little bit guarded in how they say things. They're sort of like me. They're a little less than direct because they're trying to be scientifically correct. So they come across as less decisive than somebody who's ignorant, because somebody who's ignorant will just emphatically state something as though it's reality, and that can be more convincing to somebody. So do you I'm interested in what you think, because I think that a lot of these social media platforms should be required to take responsibility for what people are saying using their platform. If that platform isn't really prepared to stand behind it, then I I feel like the platform has to bear some responsibility for trying to keep things under control.
It's kind of like sorry, go ahead.
I think.
No, I was just going to say about the Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran is perfectly allowed to go on to Twitter and say "Death to America," and that tweet stays up there. But if you're an ill-informed, I don't know, Trump supporter, and you go, "Oh, there was voter fraud," boom, you get nuked. And I can see why, especially because it's such an important topic right now. But it does seem like there's a lot of kind of disparity on those channels, on those media platforms. Like, they're pretty good, to be fair, right? So I saw one yesterday where I think it was Steven Crowder, who's somebody that I take a ton of issue with, put up something about voter fraud or something about COVID, and straight away underneath it, Twitter had put links to facts, like actual facts about COVID or whatever it was. So I think that's a really good step in the right direction. Like, Flat Earth videos will usually have the disclaimer underneath: Flat Earth is an archaic belief system, blah blah blah. But Flat Earthers use that as a badge of honor now, where they're like, "Oh, see, they're trying to censor me again." So it kind of goes both ways. Like when Alex Jones was kicked off YouTube after the whole Sandy Hook stuff, which was atrocious. Then he went back onto his own platform, and now he's got more subscribers and money coming in than he ever did on YouTube. So yeah, cancel culture is an interesting one, because there is that element of, you do need to control some of what's being put out there, but how far do you go? How have you found it with your experience on like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, Tae? Do you notice that things get censored or?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of things get censored for Australia, so a lot of the time I have to use a VPN to kind of watch things and see how it really is around the world. And yeah, a lot of Australians as well kind of have that mentality of like, it doesn't really matter what's going on overseas. So we kind of just care about what's happening here, so then we don't really have any say or control in a lot of these like important, Twitter debate.
You see it
like that, like when something's going down on Twitter, we don't really care.
You see it a lot in the infamous comment sections on news things on Facebook, where they'll say such and such a thing happened in Canada, and there's always a few guys that comment something like, "What's this got to do with Australia?" And I'm like, well, shit happens elsewhere too, right? It's that's a good point.
I have a story related to this. I was watching the news. This was many years ago. I watched the commercial news. Happened to be in the room for that. Then the ABC news came up, and then the SBS news. And it wasn't until the SBS news that they mentioned that there had been an earthquake in Turkey that had killed 10,000 people. And I'm just like, hang on, you guys were talking about some pathetically insignificant political controversy that you've basically fabricated, but 10,000 people died over there, and you just didn't pay any attention to it all. Is that who we are as a people, that we don't care because they're Turkish and it's not important? It's just it just seems like we've got a very insular and self-important perspective.
I think I remember 2017. I think there was a bombing at an airport or a train station or something. I can't quite remember, but when I heard about it, I saw it on the news, and I actually saw it because one of my international friends posted something about it, and I went and I told adults that were around me, and they were like, "Oh, that's sad, but there's nothing we can do. You know, who cares? They'll deal with that."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was really the only one that had any interest. I was like, "Well, don't you guys just at least want to talk about it?" But no.
Yeah, I lived in the United States for 5 years, and shortly after I moved there was a gigantic earthquake in Pakistan, and it destroyed large numbers of villages and towns, and absolutely devastated a large section of Pakistan. And so there were millions of people in the Pakistani who were suddenly homeless, had no access to shelter or anything. And the Americans were arguing about whether or not to send aid over, because some of it might end up in the hands of the Taliban or Taliban sympathizers. And there was this rather vitriolic debate about it, and I've gone, well, it may well end up in the hands of people who like the Taliban. But you know what's going to happen if you don't send aid? There are going to be a lot more people who don't like you, because you had the option to help, and because you were too focused on your own problems, you didn't reach out to try and save lives. And if I were in that position, of having had my home destroyed, and my younger brother or my child or spouse was freezing to death and starving, and the Americans had the option to intervene but elected not to, because some of the money might go astray, I'd be pretty fucking pissed off about it, and I think a lot less about the US as a nation. And I'd be a lot more sympathetic to the people who had been taking to fight. And I'd think to myself, well, maybe they were right about this the entire time. You've got to, it strikes me that there's a lot of, false economy. We can't afford to spend money on keeping people alive overseas. Well, do you want refugees to stop turning up in your country? Because one of the ways to stop that from happening is to look after them when they're over there, rather than.
And so that's the story of how Tony joined
here.
ISIS.
That is.
But no, I agree. I feel like once it comes to international borders, people stop being humans. It doesn't matter that we're both human beings. It's I'm this type of human and you're that type of human, and tough shit. That's kind of how it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, but I think that it's an entirely artificial distinction, and I kind of think that certainly with one of the advantages of having the internet is that you can talk to people from other countries and reassure yourself that they're actually, real, reasonable people. And getting sort of tying this back to the earlier portion of the discussion, it is a double-edged weapon in that it does allow you to go, well, the person I'm typing this to is at best an abstract concept. They're not a real person. If this causes them distress, I don't have to care about that. I don't have to be responsible for it. I'm just exporting this hurt, and I don't need to be responsible for it. But actually, I kind of think that's an education issue, because my experience is I've met a lot of people and they seem like real people that I am concerned about, and that I do, whose emotional health I do feel responsible for in any way that I can help, because I've had to rely on other people's help in the past with my issues. And I kind of think that it's how we use it and how it's structured, and we could fix it from what it is now.
I agree 100%.
Again, I feel like I'm talking over.
Not at all.
I'm talking.
Nah, preach.
Preach.
This is what I would have been doing anyway, sitting here listening to you talk anyway. Somehow forget that I'm actually in the stream. I feel like I'm just watching it anyway because I've kind of got it all lined up.
Right. Okay.
Looks right.
Well, I was again. I will say, like, just the opening portion where you were discussing sort of mental health. I think it's really, really good. And I'm really, really encouraged that sort of encouraged and discouraged. Encouraged that that you have such a strong awareness of mental health, and discouraged that it actually required, negative experiences for that to occur. I kind of think that one of the most fundamental changes we should make to our society is making mental health, resilience and mental health analysis part of our education process.
Right.
One of the problems I can see with that is that, as I mentioned in the chat, teenagers are assholes. You think I'm a dick now. I was a complete asshole as a teenager. I was just shocking. So I wonder if they would use those tools necessarily constructively. But at some stage, we need to give people sort of the tools to assess what's happening to them as a result of their experiences and what they're doing to other people. And especially in Australia, I think we've got a hugely toxic attitude of, well, if they're upset by what I'm doing, they need to harden the fuck up. That's just, it's self-exculpatory bullshit. You're just licensing yourself to be the most abhorrent dick you can in that circumstance.
100%.
I need to say something that you guys are going to attack. I feel like.
I mean, we can turn to the voter fraud issue if you want.
I mean, like, I'm living under a rock, man. I hardly ever leave my house. So much of what's going on. You're probably better off talking to my mum. She loves SBS. That's her favorite channel.
Well, I kind of think the political stuff, we need to. Irish and I talk a lot about politics and that sort of thing, as though it's important.
We
and
fight
some of
a
it
lot
is.
about politics.
We do fight a lot, but we've got to find a way to talk about stuff that's fun rather than just reiterate. Did I tell you that I got to watch a movie with JL this afternoon?
I did not know that.
No, he put it up. JL Warren on
from the Week in Horror,
one of the other beardsmen,
the most bearded of the beardsmen. No, Johnny O is probably the most bearded. It depends on if we're going for footprint or volume of beard. If we're going for volume, I would say probably JL. If we're going for footprint, it's definitely Johnny O, because his go down to his nads. So
I'd say volume.
I think volume.
Volume.
If we're going for pure sex appeal and lusciousness, look no further than this fucking hack job that I got done the other day. But anyway, gotta get it fixed.
Gotta put your cowboy hat on. Wait.
And I got my little Texas flag.
Tony, do you have a hat?
His hat is ridiculous. I'll just say straight off the fucking bat.
Well, I'll go for this one. There you go. But I'm wearing headphones, so they.
Oh, lovely.
You look like somebody's nan.
I have a leather hat.
Is it a bush hat?
No, like. Yeah, it's one of those
Oh yeah, like the one I sent to. Mm-hmm. I sent one out to Thor, and it still hasn't gotten there.
It's not. It's not rabbit skin. It's
Oh yeah, same as the
steel
one I
leather.
sent. I sent one to Johnny O jail, and I sent one to Thor, but he hasn't gotten his yet for some reason.
I'm told that the
Yeah, that makes
international
sense. What
postage is
with
really,
the no
really slow at
airplanes
the
and
moment.
such. No worries.
Gonna get my
Yeah, you
hat.
can't be the unhatted
Okay.
one in the
Not that.
group. Nobody wants to be the one with no hat on. My stream's a little bit choppy. So when she comes back, both of us freeze. Pretend that the stream is frozen. She hasn't got wireless headphones on. I'm taking this off because it's 1,000,000 degrees in this room right now. So when she comes back...
Okay.
I'm back. Can you read my hat? Hello? Can you hear me?
We're just fucking with you.
Hello? Oh, you
You had to be phased in at some stage.
Actually, I couldn't read your hat. It says something of space.
Oh, it's a NASA hat.
I need
Oh yeah,
my
we'll have to.
space.
Yeah, I need my space.
Yeah.
That was the first thing you said to me,
Ah.
actually. You know that? I was wearing this
Nice.
NASA hat, and you said, I like your hat.
Yeah.
You did.
Did I?
So yeah, we're NASA shit. Where's your NASA hat, Tony?
Oh, I was
I know you
so
were.
stoned the day I met you, man. I was on another planet. I gave
Who,
him a
me?
planet
I
for
didn't
free,
get any.
everyone.
Oh, I did.
For free.
Papas. Yeah, I just remembered that, actually. I've been wanting one of those for years. They're not that easy to find.
Yeah, that's what he
So-
said. And
So
the
now
airberries
the what?
are fine though.
Where did you get yours?
They are easy to find.
Bunnings, can't.
Like
Good old
Bunnings.
Bunnings.
Bunnings always
But so yeah, now we're all
Bunnings.
technically NASA shills. We all know Tony's a NASA shill, so like there's no question about that.
I'm actually resentful
because
because
you're
I
not
can't
in
be a
America.
NASA shill.
Oh,
Well, I'm
yeah.
not in America. They can't fund it. They can't fund
bullshit.
overseas
Like, I mean,
scientists. So.
I remember Elon Musk got questioned about that at an event where they're like, how come you don't hire anybody internationally? He's like, you don't think that I would like to have the greatest minds from the whole world work on my projects? He was like, it's because of US law that I can't hire non-US citizens or whatever, or non-US residents. And he was like, do you seriously think that I wouldn't like to have the brains of the people in the Indian space fucking thing? And, you know? But yeah.
Yeah. In order to get a foreigner, you basically need to demonstrate that you can't find an American.
So like in the case of Von Braun, which our flat Earth colleagues love.
Those Americans.
Damn right.
They sprout out like weeds.
They're everywhere.
Can't get rid of them.
So yeah, we're coming up on the what mark are we at? We're just gone over 2.5 hours. So time to get out of here. It's got to be pretty late where you are, Tony, right?
It is. It's almost 3:00 in the morning here.
Jesus, Murphy.
But I'm not doing anything, so it was. I thought I'll just stay up for Demon Stream, and then turned into a really interesting one. So it was. So you hooked me.
That's good to hear.
Well, you definitely don't need. You definitely don't need your beauty rest, Tony.
No, he's got that locked down. He's taking some kind of
You
serum.
can afford to stay up late.
Tony is
Thank
like
you.
he's like a 15-year-old stuck in a 90-year-old lady's body. Am I right?
I think what Tae is saying is that beauty sleep isn't going to do me any good. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, I was trying to be nice about it, like saying that you
You were
don't need it because
trying to be nice.
Don't put yourself down.
because you've already
Don't put
like
yourself
you've already
down.
got the beauty thing locked down. So I'm like, he doesn't need beauty sleep. He can't get any more beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get out of here because it's getting late and I've got a long day tomorrow. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for coming out. Make sure and hit the like button on your way out and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to my two guests. So this was the first episode of Saturday Night Tea with Tony and Tae. Thank you very much, lads and lassies, and we'll catch you next time. Sláinte.